Thank you, Jane. I think I can speak for all of us that we've all learned a lot today. I do want to thank the peers who spoke today: Allison, Shelby, Allie, Christy, Yvette, Keith, Sinuet, and Patrick. It takes immense courage to publicly share your journey, and all of us are extremely grateful. I also want to thank Dr. Mathis and Dr. Sachs for your comments today. Shortly, we'll all hear from Dr. Campbell, so thank you in advance. I'd like to take a few minutes to review what we've learned today and share some of the specific aspects of to our active listeners in the room, the FDA staff, the medical product developers, and the researchers. Depression as a condition. One of the messages we heard today is that people experience depression as a condition and not a label. As Allison said, I have a mental health diagnosis. I am not my diagnosis. Keep the whole person in mind when developing solutions for patients. So our first ask is, can medical product development examine alternative categories or simply show results specifically by different levels of severity? There you go. We also heard depression is a chronic condition with personalized outcomes. Yvette mentioned that hormonal changes a woman experiences throughout the course of her lifetime in the way that might affect efficacy and the possibility of negative side effects. So our ask is, can trials report the conditional probability that a person will respond to a new drug based on their response to a prior medication? Can trials report on outcomes over sustained meaningful periods rather than at week 6 or week 12? Can trials include one patient-centric life satisfaction measure for all major depressive disorder clinical trials? Can trials make information available in post-marketing programs? Better is not well. Keith said he desired more than just being okay. He deserves happiness, and mentioned the potential of testing for genetic and genomic markers to help improve people's lives. This past September, Commissioner Gottlieb, while speaking at the Friends of Cancer Research Blueprint for Breakthrough Forum, stated, and I quote, "The FDA must be flexible and open-minded to new approaches that best meet the needs of patients, so that patients can have confidence in the results and the treatment that comes from it." Can medical product developers be rewarded for innovative research and development that seeks new thinking about the natural history of major depressive disorder? Whole health. The importance of treating whole health. We heard from Yvette, Shelby, Sinuet, and Keith about experienced depression with a co-occurring disorder. Can trials collect basic medical outcome measures from people experiencing comorbidity? PCOS, sleep apnea, CPOD, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and others. Thank you for giving these requests your best consideration. Your input is extremely valuable, and it assists us in continuing our initiative to transform the definition of wellness for people living with mood disorders. Today's meeting has been recorded. Our next step will be to review the output from this meeting and write a post-meeting report that will be made available to the public. We will be publishing that report in early 2019. Before I turn the meeting over to our last speaker, I want to thank everyone for participating today. Your insights have been very revealing. And I also want to thank those that provided much counsel and guidance throughout this process: Kim McCleary of Kith Collective and our facilitator, Jane Axelrod. We're grateful for your support, patience, and excellent advice throughout this entire planning process and throughout the day today. I also want to thank the DBSA staff who made today possible, especially Phyllis Foxworth, for her passion and commitment to ensuring the voice of peers are represented soundly throughout this discussion. Thank you, Phyllis. Jane, back to you.
My last job of the day is to introduce Dr. Michelle Campbell, who you heard from just a minute ago. Dr. Campbell, now I'll tell you who she is. Dr. Campbell is a social scientist who works on the FDA's clinical outcomes assessment staff in the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research in the Office of New Drugs. She's participated in several recent FDA workshops on methods to collect clinically meaningful patient experience data. Her and her staff provide consultation on development, validation, and interpretation of clinical benefit endpoints in clinical trials to support drug development, labeling, and promotion. Dr. Campbell is going to share with us what she found productive and informative about this afternoon's meeting and how FDA is going to use the information.
So thank you, Jane. I want to thank you, Michael, for those great remarks. First of all, what a great meeting. We've all learned a lot. I know during the break, myself and my FDA colleagues kind of gathered around and we're talking about what we had already heard first before our break, and we've learned even more in the second part of the day. I want to first thank all of the panelists today for getting the courage to come up and talk and express to us your experiences with depression and other comorbidities that you may have to find that balance between every day. I also want to thank all of you for attending in person and for those on the web. Again, it's great to see that the caregivers who are here and the perspectives that they provided, as well as industry members, other patient advocacy groups, and patient support groups as well. A special thanks to the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance and all of your staff who was involved in planning this meeting. I want to tell you, we hear you. Your thoughts, your thoughts and comments were highly informative, and we'll take this perspective back to us at the FDA. I've attended other patient-focused drug development meetings, and I can tell you these meetings are very informative, particularly as Dr. Mathis said earlier today. We really do take back what we hear and we incorporate it into our work. Some of the key things I heard today throughout our discussions was the concept of thrive. And is that something we need to examine as an outcome? I heard that I am not a diagnosis. I am bigger than my diagnosis. And that we need to find a way to define what quality of life is. We need a better integration of healthcare providers in the healthcare system, because why do I have to connect the missing pieces to my providers? And that I am the total person and not a one individual piece. I heard a lot about the use of social networks, the pros and cons of that, but really how they are a good supportive nature. And also a big theme I heard today was underemployment and the impacts of that. But in terms of, I would say, for medical product development, I heard that you wanting more than just being okay. And that this trial and error of trying medications is hard. And we need to do better as other advances in different disease areas has progressed. I heard also that there's a fear of one day the medication that is working is no longer going to be efficacious. And that fear of having to start over again or having to experience, I should say, side effects that because of a dosing increase, be able to get back to that state of I'm okay, which we know we need to improve on. And that there is a balance that you consider and take when making treatment decisions of the trade-off of feeling bad versus feeling nothing because of the medications. There was a lot of discussions of comorbidities with depression and bipolar and how that can impact treatment-making decisions. That not working well enough, we need something better. I heard repetitively over and over again is that we want something better. And how to determine what treatment will work in what patients is at the crux of everything. And we hope that there's a hope that we can try to figure out how we can incorporate that into medical product development. So at the FDA, we share the patient's community's commitment to facilitate the development of safe and effective medical products for depression and bipolar. The FDA promotes and protects the public health by evaluating the safety, effectiveness, and quality of new products, but we do not develop medical products or conduct clinical trials. It is, however, the FDA's responsibility to ensure that the benefits of a product outweighs the risks. And therefore, having this kind of dialogue is extremely valuable for us because we're hearing what patients care about and how can us find the way to facilitate the best medical product development for depression and bipolar and understand how the patients views the benefit and risks of therapies for depression. Once again, we're all here today to hear the voice of the patient. So I thank you again for your participation. We are grateful for each of you for being here, sharing your stories, experiences, and perspectives. So thank you, and I wish you all safe travels.